Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2021 show. I'm your host, Don Kay. We are once again coming to you from the Grand King Race Shops at 8155 Crawfordsville Road in Indianapolis. Today's show is presented by Honda, Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the NTT INDYCAR Series, SVRA, McGilvery's Pub and Eatery and Speedway, and VP Insurance. A couple of things. If you've got a fan of INDYCAR and you're looking for something to give them as a little present for May or afterwards, birthday or whatever, I highly recommend the 500shop.com. If he hasn't got it, it ain't in existence. Michael Spangle has about anything you can possibly think of. So if you're looking for something for a souvenir or present for somebody that's an INDYCAR fan, the Indy500shop.com will have it. My computer guy has a new office. He is located now on, it's called Fleming Street at 549 Fleming Street in Indianapolis, just off West Washington. That's a affordable computer doctor. Steve Frye is a computer. If you need anything done, give him a call. He can help you. And if need be, he can make a house call. His number is 317-328-0766. And of course, everybody's favorite doctor's visit is a dentist. Well, I got a secret for you. It's not a secret, actually. The Indy Dental Group is the best around. Dr. Jack Miller, Indy 500 veteran, and his wife, Dr. Liz Lewis, have spectacular practice. Call him for your next dentist appointment and have him check you out, and I guarantee you will love it. His people are top of the line. His number is 317-846-6125. And hi, I'm Paul Page. It's race day in Indianapolis is now out, and get yourself a copy. You can order it on Amazon or you can order it on Barnes & Noble, and it may be available at the Speedway, the museum gift shops. But get yourself a copy, and when you're wandering around the Speedway in May, you might see Paul and have him autograph it for you. Also, the book by the SVRA Vice President Public Relations, the book, The Legend of the First Super Speedway, The Battle for the Soul of American Racing, is out. It is fabulous. I'm just wrapping it up finally, and you can get it most anywhere. So if you get a chance, get a copy. It's really, really a good read. It starts before the Speedway was built, and how it built up and how it came about. It's very interesting. And if it's time for you to get renew your insurance for your home, your car, or your commercial property, do what the Commissioner of Insurance of Indiana says, check your prices around. And I think you'll find that the VP Insurance and Mike Pardee can help you out. You get better coverage for less money. All of us have figured that out and have gotten to it. So do yourself a favor. They're located at 5004 West 16th Street. You can call Mike at 317-248-0070. And if you've ever wondered what these guys and gals love about driving Indy cars, well, find out for yourself. Take a ride in the Indy Racing Experience 2-seater. And in the promo box, you can put DK1 and get a 50% discount. So you can go on the line, IndyRacingExperience.com, find a place that they're going to run you can get to, and book yourself a ride, or call Shonda at 317-243-7171. You know, Trans Am was big at one time. It's kind of died out, but Tony Perella has it now, and he's building it up big each week. So I suggest you go to svra.com, find out what their schedule is, hit the schedule tab, and while you're there, subscribe to Speed Tour magazine. It's a great magazine. It talks about the vintage racing that they have, as well as the Trans Am, and you find out really good stuff in the book. It's a first-class publication. You'll love it. And if you're interested in a vintage car, you have one that needs restoration, the Grand King Shop could help you. Give them a call at 317-820-3595. Tell them what you got or what you need, and they can help you out. My guest today is none other than the president of the INDYCAR Series, Mr. Jay Frye. And Jay, I got to think this year is somewhat of a relief compared to what happened last year and all the juggling around and changes that had to be made. Although this isn't smooth, it's got to be a lot smoother, and the tunnel looks like there's light there.
Yeah, no, well, thank you, Don. Thank you for having me. No, it certainly feels like it. Obviously, we moved some things at the beginning of the season, with Barber, Long Beach, St. Pete, that type of thing. But once we were able to get going, we could start rolling. So, so far, so good with that. And then, moving Long Beach to the end of the season, kind of a West Coast swing there at the end. Things seem to be getting much better on the West Coast. We're excited about that. So, yeah, so far so good. I mean, we're certainly not out of the woods in any way, but again, so far so good.
You have to be pleased with the response you've gotten to the Halo and the Aeroscreen. At first, there was a lot of people, drivers and fans for that matter, say, what in the world is that for? But I think you got to say to yourself now, brilliant move.
Yeah, well, it was a great effort by, the entire paddock. Obviously, the Red Bull Advanced Technology guys were really spectacular. Pankel, PPG, Isoclima, there was a lot of partners involved in it, Delara. I think it's proven itself a couple times so far this year, a couple times last year. Most of the issues we've had have been with cooling, and there's a lot of things we've done to help, with that situation. I think part of it, the drivers, it just took a while to get used to, and now they understand the difference between the way it was before and the way it is now. Again, that, and then again, we have these other cooling devices that can help. So at the end of the day, it's doing what it's supposed to do, and we're excited about that.
The impressive thing to me was when Romain Grosjean had his test at Barber, and he looped the car, and they interviewed him afterwards, and they said, what happened? And he said, well, where I came from in Formula One, there's tremendous downforce and traction control. So you basically steer the car, but in IndyCar, you have to drive the car. He had a smile on his face that he's doing something he hadn't had to do, and that's drive the car, and something that he likes doing and wants to do. So I got to think the other guys that have come on board from Formula One have experienced the same thing. You drive these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about it, in 2018, when we did this most recent Aero kit, the AK-18, our goal was to have less downforce and more horsepower. So the downforce has been cut substantially versus the manufacturer kits from 2017 and prior to that. So that's a big initiative we've had, is less downforce. The horsepower is coming, so that'll be with the new engine in 2023. With the 2.4 liter twin turbo V6. So that'll be about 100 more horsepower than we have now. So we think, the entire formula is taking a couple of years to get us to where we want to go. But again, we're going to have, substantially more horsepower, and we do have less downforce with the current car.
You think, are you looking at any changes? Because adding 100 horsepower will up the speed. I'd say rather dramatically, that the car is built to withstand that. Should it have a problem?
Yeah, well, there's a few things we're going through. There's been a lot of simulation, and we'll start track testing, next summer with it. So it'll give us a better indication. At this point, we don't think there's a whole lot. If you think about it, there'll be straightaway speeds might be more, right? But you still got to get through the corners. So if you have less downforce, the driver's going to have to manage the horsepower that they have, how they get off the corner, that type of thing. So there's going to be some things we have to do. There's going to be some things we have to do to change the car to fit the new engine. Not a lot. One of the goals was that the new engine basically fit the configuration, fit into the current car, obviously to keep the cost down for the team. So we'll see. But we don't think there's going to be a ton of things we have to change.
Well, speaking of engines fitting in the car, I know there's been a lot of talk, and I know you've been hard at this. Is there any indication there could be a new engine joint? I know both Chevy and Honda would like to have one, and they've offered to help them speed up their getting in line with what they need to know to get running.
Yeah, well, this has been an ongoing effort for a long time, as you know, right? So one of the things over the last 4, 5, 6 years, we've always, anytime we've got basically to the point where we felt really good, almost to the altar with a prospective OEM, at the end of the day, it became about, we didn't have any kind of hybridization or electrification, that type of thing. So again, as you know, with the new 2.4 liter engine, it's also going to have a hybridization element to it too. So we think that it's been really good. It's been very well received. We're seeing a lot of enthusiasm from the OEMs we're talking to. We've obviously went back to the ones we were talking to now that we've got this new platform. So we'll see. We feel good about where we're at, what we're doing, where we're going. We think there'll be hopefully some good news on that sooner than later.
Well, the thing that impresses me, and I've gotten a lot of emails and stuff because I've put out on my Facebook and my website stuff as it comes out, what's going on with IndyCar. And the thing that impresses me in particular is you've got new teams coming and new looking to join in the next year or so. So the series is growing. You're running 23, 24 cars every event now, which is up, and there's likely to be more joining next year. So it's got to make you feel good that you're going in the right direction to attract sponsorship and team ownership.
Yeah, if well, again, going back, if you remember in 16, we came up with the 5-year plan and the template for the future, right? So in 17, we froze the kits. In 18, we came out with AK-18. New engines coming to 23. Now we've got a platform or a plan that goes basically through 26 to 28. So, last fall, announcing our extension with Chevrolet and Honda was huge. Obviously, they're great partners of ours. To be able to do that during a pandemic and at a very odd time in the world was, obviously awesome. So our plan that started basically in 16 now goes through 26 or 28. So the teams are part of it. The manufacturers are part of it. Everybody knows where we're going, what we're doing, things are going to happen, why they're going to happen. And I think that has created some stability in the approach. So, we're just going to keep doing that. And again, the next big thing is the engine in 23. How does that work with the hybridization? How does that work? You think about things like push to pass, that'll be no more, that'll be obsolete. The hybrid system will act as that. So there's lots of things we've got to sort out in the next couple of years.
Is the hybrid system going to be functioning on ovals as well as street and road courses?
Yes. So that'll be, a first. Obviously, no one else has done that on an oval. If you remember, a couple months ago, we did a push to pass test at IMS, and that was basically using our current technology to see how it could work with what we're doing in the future. Obviously, it's not the same, but it was the best way we could do an on-track test to simulate what could be coming in the future. So remember, we talked, the new engine is going to have 100 more horsepower-ish. This hybrid unit and system will add to that. So how do we manage that? How do we do it over maybe a 4 or 5 year path? You don't want to do it all at once. Maybe it's 20 or 40 per year for the 5-year period to get where we want to go.
Well, something that's impressed me about what you've done and has not happened until you got here, and that is you talk to the teams, you meet with the teams, with the team owners, so they know what you have in mind and they have input. You will listen. I mean, I've told people, I know he listens because if I see him and have a question, he'll stop and talk to me, and I've got nothing to do with anything. So I think, to me, that's huge that you're listening to the participants, the owners, and what you want to do and the best way to do it, and they're helping make the decision with you.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We've got a lot of very, very smart people in our paddock, and why would you not talk to them about what you're thinking? And again, you want them to be part of the solution and part of the process. If there's going to be times when they're not going to all get exactly what they want to do, but they'll have a better understanding if they're part of the process of why we're doing something. So again, when you have all the information, it makes more sense than if you don't. But again, it's a great group. I would say most everything we talk about, there's always a pretty good consensus, on the direction of why we're doing it, understanding why we're doing it. Obviously, me coming from a team owner's perspective in the day, when we go to a team and ask them to spend money, we do that. We take that very seriously. We want to be very frugal with how we do that. It's got to provide some sort of return on what we're doing and where we're going. So, yeah, again, we've got a great paddock that's an absolute pleasure to deal with.
And I think from the ones I've talked to, they appreciate the fact that you want to hear what they have to say instead of somebody announcing this is what you're doing. They go, uh-oh, this is going to cost.
Yeah, surprises are bad. Surprises are bad.
And I think that comes from your former ownership, where I don't think you had the cooperation from the offices that you are now providing your teams. That's my opinion, but I know some guys that ran the same place you didn't. That was one of their problems. It's also got to be taken into account that I think NBC, from a fan's point of view, has really done well to help get eyes on the television, get eyes with their new Peacock thing. I think it's phenomenal. Because last year and the year before, when you had gold, all you got was 17 races, unless you wanted to buy something else. This one, you get everything, whatever you want. If there's not a race, you got something to look at. So I think NBC has really done a good job in promoting the events and letting people know where they can see them, and it's gotten more eyes. I know St. Pete was way up.
Yeah. No, NBC's been a great partner, and I think part of what, from even a schedule perspective, we try to have date equity. No, that fans year to year to year can understand where we're going to be, and at a certain date, or that venue. Well, the same thing with the broadcast partner, right? It's very simple. We're on NBC or on NBC Sports, so having the continuity in the broadcast schedule, I think, has also been really good. It appears to start to be paying some dividends, which is great. They're great people, great partners. You're excited to have them.
Roger has been very adamant about wanting to keep the events at the same date year after year so people could plan on it. As in the past, that's the way it used to be. But of course, last year, a monkey wrench got thrown into things and got shifted around in the beginning of this year, but they seem to be heading in the right direction. But I think, in my mind, it's nice to know that when I come this year on the 30th and next year on the 30th, there'll be a 500.
Right.
And so forth. Now, the only problem I understand now in Canada is having an awful problem is you may have trouble with Toronto.
Yeah, we're obviously watching that very closely. That's, I would say, the next one on the schedule. That's, they're we're concerned, that type of thing. So the Green Sabre guys are great partners. They'll sort it out. They'll figure it out. Again, Toronto's a great event. We want to be there. Unfortunately, with all going on there right now, we're not sure exactly how that's going to look for this year or not. So, but we'll get back there at some point for sure.
The fans up there are phenomenal. They look forward to INDYCAR coming up, and it's always a great draw. So that's sorry to miss that. Are you looking at running a double header somewhere else to make up for that event?
Well, again, we're not to the point of announcing anything like that, or that we're not actually going. Again, we're paying attention to very closely in Toronto. That was always the intention, is this year, if we had to do something or had to cancel an event, would be replace it with another one, and a doubleheader would be the best way to do that.
Now, I understand that there's been a lot of feedback on Facebook and so forth about getting more ovals into the series. And I know I hear about it all, that I get emails from people I never heard of or say, why don't they run ovals? Well, of course, I have no clue, but I got to think that from what I've heard and seen, that there is a possibility that ovals will join the series, maybe not next year, but the year after, because there's some great ovals that are available, hopefully.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And again, I'm a big oval supporter and fan too. So this year, the way the schedule shook out, there was no intention, to drop, to get to where we're at with ovals right now. It just kind of worked out that way. We're excited about Nashville. Obviously, that was a big event we could add. Obviously that's not an oval, but it's going to be a massive, spectacular event. Yeah, I would say, as we look down the road, ovals are very important. This year was one of the things we've tried for quite a few years to actually get done, was to get Texas before Indy, right? To have a speedway race before the race here at the speedway, which we did. So we think that'll actually help enhance the 500, to have one race. Actually, this year we had two races like that under their belts before the teams come here in May. So there's a lot of little nuances and things like that we can do this schedule that we think will enhance it, the whole schedule.
Well, I was really disappointed that Rockford had I just forgot this. Richmond. Rockville, I don't know why I think about it. That Richmond had to be canceled last year, and they're off the schedule this year. That was a phenomenal track and great racing.
Yeah.
Last time we raced there, the crowds were starting. I used to be with Mark Janes in the back straight, and the crowd was coming around to us. And I said, the next time we come, we're going to have to find another place because there'll be fans in here. And it stopped. And why is it not on the schedule this year?
Well, again, it's just there's a lot of things that have went on, behind the scenes with COVID and what's next and what's going to happen and how you can move things around or not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't make it this year. Richmond's a great market. Dennis Bickmeyer does a great job. It was in the fall of 19, we did a tire test, the Firestone test there with Dixon and Newgarden with this new, the AK-18 car with the screen. It looked like it was going to be a spectacular event, the way that the tires in the car worked and the less downforce and sliding around and, tire degradation and everything. So it looked like, similar to it had a very Iowa-ish feel on track, like it was going to be a great race. So again, you never say never. We love Richmond. Again, it just didn't work out for this year. We'll see what it looks like in the future.
One thing I like about Peacock, what they're doing this year, is they have the same broadcast team that broadcasts the race as doing the practice and qualifying. And I think those guys, in my opinion, do a phenomenal job. And it's interesting to listen. to them, and they'll Paul will say, "Oh, look, he slid." Well, I didn't see the slide, but when they replay it, but he's done it, he's felt it, and so is Townsend. So they see things that the average fan doesn't and draws their attention to it. So it gives them something else to look at. So I think Peacock's doing a great job for the series, in my opinion.
Well, absolutely. Those guys, again, from a behind the scenes perspective, they work really hard, right? We have a broadcast call every week with them where we talk about what we think the upcoming event's going to be like, what's going on with the teams and the cars. They ask a lot of questions. They're out in the paddock often, talking to the teams and the drivers to get a better feel what's going on for the weekend. And then once again, I think that continuity plays into it too, right? I mean, there's stories that build from week to week to week, right? So when they're out there every week, they're part of this, understanding the story and part of being able to explain it to the fans because they were there the week before. So again, great group. We're excited to have them as a partner, and they do a great job.
Something that I noticed when watching the race from Texas. Now, I read something about that they had to put some kind of stickum on for NASCAR, but I read that for INDYCAR coming in, they were going to take it off. Well, I thought they would, but all they did was take off enough that you almost couldn't run two cars side by side through the corners. And when you got too far up into it, as Mr. Hinchcliffe found out, you can't control the car. You lose it and you're gone. Is anything going to be looked into next year to make it where there's a little wider space where because Texas is a great racetrack and puts on phenomenal races.
Yeah, well, it was obviously tough. Eddie Gossage and Kent Nelson, everybody at Texas does a phenomenal job. We did all kinds of things to try to get it off. And I think as a group, it was a great, Firestone, Buzz, again, the folks at Texas. I think we got it off to a degree, right? But if you think about it, it hadn't been on there for 6 or 8 months. It was the last time it was applied. So Firestone did some scans, to understand the grip factors. We're not sure if the pavement it is what it is, kind of from it's removed a certain amount of grip from that area. So we're going to look at it very hard, once they get into their off season. So this fall with Texas, to see what we can do. There's got to be something else we can do, and we'll put a lot of smart people together to get it figured out. But yes, we're going to work on that very hard.
Because I know that's a great track and great racing. They put on a spectacular show, and that's kind of taken a little bit away from it. But I thought, in my mind, I thought they were two good races. I thought, the senior won, but the youngsters are showing they can win too. And when I talked to Mark the other day, I said, there's anywhere from 8 to 10 guys that can win the race. He said, oh no, there's 15, 18 that can win on any given weekend. Competition is nothing, is huge.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. Again, like you mentioned, we got some real good young guys coming up through the system. The veterans aren't backing down in any way either. So it's a nice to see these paths cross, right? Maybe both of them have different approaches, but their approaches work, so it's a really exciting, interesting time for sure.
I think Dan Anderson's got to take a bow, because I think his Road to Indy program is working, and the number of guys and gals that have gone through it and are in now INDYCAR is really speaks volume for what they're doing in the Road to Indy program. I think it's great for the series.
Oh, absolutely. No, they do a great job, and it's when the drivers get to this point, I mean, they're ready, right? So it's we do a couple things with them to make sure they're just to take it to the next step in testing and that type of thing. But when they get here, they're ready to go.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know in the next week and 10 days, you're going to be full speed for 3 weeks. I appreciate you taking the time. I think, in my mind, I think you're doing a phenomenal job as leadership. You've got great people working with you. I mean, you don't do everything yourself.
We've got a great. Well, we mentioned it's an entire paddock-wide effort. INDYCAR here, the folks that we have that work here are spectacular. The paddock's great. It's kind of a one-team approach, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
And it's fun to watch, and the results are shown on the track. The competition is spectacular. My hat is off to you. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for what you're doing for the series, and I look forward. And the other thing that I like is, my dad always told me, make a 5-year plan, kid. Make a 5-year plan. When you get down to 4 years, then you start adding the next 5 years. And that's what you've done. And you've stuck to everything you said you're going to do, and you've done it. That hasn't always happened in this series, but now it's happening. And I think it's great to get something to look forward to. They know it's coming. And I think you're doing a great job, and I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate your time.
Well, thanks for having me, Don. Always a pleasure.
My pleasure, believe me. My guest has been the president of the INDYCAR series, Mr. Jay Frye. We have other guests on the line, so keep an eye out for us. We'll notify you when they're coming up. Until then, this is Don Kay saying thanks for watching. Until the next time, see you.